You have every right to take your life seriously. You have every right to take your life seriously and to be pissed off and whatever anyone says, whatever, you know, doesn't matter what anyone says. If uh, if everyone has these ideologies that you shouldn't be taking your life seriously, you should be this way. You should be all play and no work and see work as all play. Then no, I don't believe that work is all play. A lot of people like to tell you what you should do, but they haven't even done it themselves. So how can you trust them if you haven't done it themselves? You're not gonna want to get advice about fucking, I don't know. You're not going to want to get life advice of somebody who's a toddler. That's a shit example, but what I'm trying to say is that some people like to talk the talk, but we haven't walked the walk. So, that being said, there's a lot of people who talk the talk and don't walk the walk. Your life belongs to you. You have every fucking right to take your life whatever way you want it to be. Nobody has a right to come along and say, you know what, you need to be this way. Oh, I don't like you as this. You need to change this. No. Take full ownership of your life. Take full ownership of yourself. If you're dumb, call yourself dumb. If you're fat, call yourself fat. If you whatever, own it. But once you own it, change it. And this is the thing, we can change anything. Maybe not anything. I mean, I'm not saying like, well, if you've got cancer, you can just change it. But there are a lot of things we can change about ourselves. If we're not good at a certain subject like maths or English or whatever, we can learn and we can change our skills in that area. If we are fat, we can go to the gym. We can change that. We can get a better physique. We can start to eat right and, buy some self-help book or whatever and get a counsellor and, just seek help and get to the root of, why you might not be eating enough or why you're eating too much. So, don't listen to everybody else. If you are a serious person, embrace that. Life isn't one size fits all. We're not all the fucking same. And if we were all the same, life would be very boring. And I like to think that there's a big range of people, from the somewhat serious people all the way to the you're not serious at all type of person. And then there's the people who take life seriously, and then sometimes they don't. But none of us are correct. None of us are right. We just have our own way of living. But it doesn't mean that my way of living is somehow better than yours. It's just better for me. It's like, for instance, I believe that being stoic is a great thing to have as a man. Stoicism. Studying all these people like Marcus Aurelius and Julius Caesar, and like even just learning how to fight. I just think that all these things are healthy, and I think that even though it's good to learn how to fight, it's also good to learn to reason with people just through your communication. And I think that a good man is not necessarily someone who just wants to beat the living shit out of everybody. In fact, that's the opposite of a good man. You know, a good man really is somebody who wants to protect other people, who doesn't want to harm other people, but can get violent and aggressive when he feels threatened and he needs to defend the people he loves. That is a good man. You know, and we are living in an era where we've got too many weak men. Too many weak men. And, you know, unfortunately, nothing's really changing anytime soon. But, yeah, whatever way you want to live your life, you have every right to live it, as long as you're not harming other people as you live in your life. And saying it's my fault, you know, just owning responsibility is one of the first steps to becoming better. Because saying it's my fault doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. You know, maybe if I've got £10,000 in your bank account, but you know you got that money through just doing a lot of jobs, and you know, like I don't know, you sold a fucking ring of whatever, and that was at least worth about 2k or something. And then you did just other jobs in between, and you ended up getting 10k in your bank account. That is your fault, because you did all that. So, you know, owning up to something and saying it's your fault is not necessarily a bad thing. But with the good, you have to also take the bad and the ugly. You know, like, and without the good, the bad, and the ugly, it just wouldn't be life. But, you know, I generally do believe that we're living in an era where there's not enough men about. There's not enough real men around who they don't want to be protectors. They just want to always be on the attack. And that isn't a man. I do not agree that is a man. And this stems way beyond biological sex. You know, because I still believe that, you know, just because, well, you know, just because you're a biological man, it doesn't mean that you're fully a man. Because there's so much more to being a man than just being a male. There's a lot of responsibilities, a lot of duties, and learning to not always be in your ego, and actually thinking about life as work then play. That's a more healthier way to see life. Because there's too many men who think that life is all play. I should be allowed to go on with someone all the time and deal drugs and get up to bother and wear a balaclava and start fights. Like, it's not okay. It's not okay.